My best friend never told me she was dating someone and then completely blindsided me by making her wedding the day before mine. What do I do? Posted by you/tinybirdsnest. Apologies for the long post. So, I'm getting married in a few weeks. About a month ago, one of my best friends, whom I've known since college and have kept in regular contact with, dropped the bomb that she was getting married. I didn't even know she was seeing anyone. She then dropped another bomb, that she's marrying a guy in our friend group, and that her wedding would have to be the day before mine because her father-in-law couldn't get time off work at any other time that month. She also gave a few other half-hearted reasons why other weekends weren't possible. One weekend was a few days before her period, so she'd be bloated. Another, she'd be on her period. Another was Valentine's weekend, which she found cringy. And another was too close to Ramadan, so she couldn't go on her honeymoon straight away. Some backstory about the person she is marrying: she's someone we always thought had a thing for him, but she'd always deny it and say she saw him like a brother. Back in college, we used to argue a bit because she often prioritized him over me, especially since he and I didn't really get along, while she and I were so close. For example, she and I had brunch plans once, and she spent the whole time texting him. However, after graduating, I feel like we all matured and put our differences behind us, to the point where her husband-to-be was actually invited to my wedding as my friend. My knee-jerk reaction to her telling me she was engaged was crying tears of joy for her. I truly was happy for her. But when I went home to think about it, I felt really icky. All year, as I've been wedding planning, she's been asking me really specific questions about my process. She even complained that, as my best friend, she didn't feel involved enough and said she wanted to come dress shopping with me, which I invited her to because she expressed this. But for her to turn around and tell me she'd been dating this guy on and off for a year while keeping it a secret makes her complaints about being left out of my planning feel so hypocritical. Then there's the question of why the rush. She's known him for a decade, and why specifically my wedding weekend when I sent out my save the dates back in March? She had plenty of time to plan, leave some space in between. It's not about me needing all the attention, it's just that I don't see how she expects me to be fully present at her wedding. It feels selfish of her to expect me to fit her into an already stressful weekend. When I told her this, she doubled down, saying that weekend was the only option and that she specifically chose it because she knew I'd be available since I had taken time off work before my wedding. She said she needed me at her wedding and that I would embarrass her in front of her future in-laws since she had made such a point of picking a date I could attend, even though I had no clue she was seeing him, nor did she check if the day actually worked for me. I also expressed how upset I was that she kept the relationship hidden from me. She said she thought I'd cut her off because of my history of not getting along with this guy. But we all moved past that years ago, and we are a far cry from the kids we were when we met in freshman year. When I told her I didn't think I could make it to her wedding, she was so upset she cried and said she never thought I'd do that to her. She's also been telling other friends in our group that I'm coming, even when they've asked if that date works for me. We haven't spoken since our conversation a month ago, when I told her how upset I was. I'm not trying to be a bridezilla, and I know people are entitled to privacy, but my issue is that she should have extended that same privacy to me instead of asking so many questions about my life while keeping hers so secret. This is where I need advice. I feel so bitter, like the whole friendship was a lie. I can't make it to her wedding, and honestly, having her at mine feels disingenuous. She has been telling friends she is still coming. Is it rude for me to skip her wedding? Should I go since this is a decade-long friendship? Part of me wants to disinvite her and her fiancé from my wedding because of the lies. Would that be rude? Is there a polite way to disinvite someone without coming across as an absolute villain? Thank you for reading this far. Relevant comments. Commenter. When did this friend send out wedding invitations that you just found out, and now she's expecting you to attend? Sounds very last minute on her part. Ops response. So, from what I've heard through the grapevine, she's only just found a venue and no invitations have gone out yet. She's been insisting that the engagement was official and that they knew they were getting married in November, which is why nothing had been booked. It all just seems so wishy-washy to me. Commenter 2. I just have to add a totally instant gut reaction to this situation. Your friend was siphoning off all of your wedding planning to make hers easier. She deliberately planned her wedding the day before yours to cover that up. Since hers is the earlier wedding, in her mind, that means you copied her. I am very sorry you are going through this, but this is not a friend. Grieve the loss of what you thought you had and move on with your life. There is no way you should bother attending her wedding. She knows it isn't possible for you to go the day before your own wedding, she planned it that way. I would formally revoke her invitation to your wedding. Best of luck to you. Ops response. That's what I'm thinking too. Before all of this, she kept saying how easy wedding planning seemed to be for me. It hasn't been easy at all. I'm just good at hiding it and very organized, and how I thought of things she never even knew existed. In terms of disinviting and the cultural impact, opinions are very split down the middle, so I'm really torn. Thank you for the hugs, I really appreciate it. This has helped me feel like I'm not being unreasonable or a bridezilla. Update 1 month 2 weeks later. A few people in the original post were asking about rehearsal dinners and all that stuff. I'm Middle Eastern, and we don't really do that in our culture. Some people also said I needed to get over myself and that I don't own the whole weekend, which is true, I don't. My issue was the lying and the expectation that I would drive a total of 5 hours, 2.5 hours there and back, the day before my wedding and attend another wedding when I had so many things to finalize. I also just needed to vent. Being lied to and having something that felt so calculated happen in what I thought was one of my closest friendships is strange. Oh, and I don't think it was a shotgun wedding, which a lot of people were suggesting. Anyway, I had my wedding, it was perfect, and I wouldn't change a thing. I didn't go to her wedding, I genuinely didn't have the time. I did see some posted videos of her wedding, she didn't copy mine, which a lot of people were worried about, considering she had been asking me about all of my prep. I'll give her flowers, though, her wedding was gorgeous, but definitely not a 2-month planned wedding like she was making it out to be. In the end, she showed up to my wedding about 3 hours late. I was too busy being in my own newly married bubble to notice her or anything, but I did get feedback from people who were seated at her table. As people predicted in my original post, she spent the whole time talking about her wedding. In our culture, the bride receives a heavy piece of gold jewelry at her wedding, and she made a show of having her new husband take her piece of jewelry out of her bag and put it on her at the table, just after my husband and I, feels so nice saying that, did our outfit change. She was also showing off other pieces of jewelry she received, making a point to emphasize that she received real sapphires and real diamonds. She and her husband spent the whole time texting each other, which likely means they were saying things they didn't want our mutual friends overhearing, and she frequently turned to him and said, "Don't worry, we're leaving soon." They were also packing on the PDA with neck kisses. She later cried to my mom and brother about how she doesn't understand why I haven't been talking to her and how I've been so cold to her. This wasn't true, I had only told her how much her actions and lies had hurt me, and to be honest, she was the one who didn't respond to my last message. My mom, being the classic mom she is, brought her to me and tried to make us hug it out. We have this very awkward exchange caught on camera. My mom did tell my friend that she shouldn't have lied to me for a whole year, though, so it's nice to know she had my back, even if she pulled a typical mom move trying to make everyone happy. Our mutual friends are all on my side, no one really thinks she's in the right. Most of them didn't go to her wedding. With the invites being so last minute and her wedding being on a weekday, a lot of people couldn't get the time off or find childcare. No one else knew about the wedding, which is crazy. I do believe that, in her mind, she doesn't think she's done anything wrong and really does think she considered me and my situation in her wedding planning. Unfortunately, I think this is one of those friendships where we no longer really align, and I have taken a step back and distanced myself from her. I do appreciate that she came to my wedding, however, I think she did it to make a point more than out of the goodness of her heart or respect for our friendship, considering what she pulled.